Hello. Today I will be doing a read aloud of our story for the week called Picturesque, and that's exactly how you pronounce it. Sorry, guys, still numb. Picturesque. That ESQUE says the esque sound. Journeys. It is an informational text, which means it will be nonfiction, and it will be full of facts, dates, and other things that you can, and details that you can look up to verify. All right, so here is our introduction to the story. Did it have an essential question? I didn't see it. I didn't see the essential question. Oh well, we will go ahead. Paragraph 1. Travel to distant places can have a powerful effect on people. This is especially true of artists, as the lives of the three artists featured, which means the ones that we're talking about, here show different locations have inspired some of the world's greatest painters to create their best works. Many paintings by artists Frida Kahlo, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Paul Gauguin, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Gauguin, were strongly influenced by their journeys. Visiting or living in different places inspired them of their works and their colors and painting styles. In their art, these artists captured the landscapes and everyday scenes that inspired their imaginations and affected their art. So basically, this is just saying that these people, these three artists, they traveled all over to different places, but whenever they went to a different place, they got an inspiration from that location. Maybe it was a shape, maybe it was colors, maybe it was a special style that they used. All right. And here is Miss Frida Kahlo. And just to remind you, inspired means caused something to be created. Frida Kahlo was born in 1907 in the town of, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I'll say it wrong and that will be bad, outside Mexico City, Mexico. Her father was Hungarian. Hungary is a country, and I'm not sure if it's technically Europe or Asia, but it's right there on the border. And her mother was of Spanish and Mexican Indian descent. Mexican Indian is native to the Mexico region. So probably Mayan, Aztec, if you remember studying any of those before. Kahlo's diverse, which means she has a very interesting, lots of different things, background, helped define both her identity and her vision of the world. Kahlo showed her determined spirit from an early age. When she was sick, she became ill with polio. It made one of her legs thinner and weaker than the other. Polio was probably an epidemic, kind of like what we have going on right now with the COVID, but I don't think it was, I don't know enough about it to give you more information, but I'll see what I can find. However, this did not slow her down. Kahlo still played sports, and she won several swimming competitions. Oh, and here is just a picture of Mexico. This is her, where she was born, Mexico City, which is the capital, and Indiana, you would be like right here probably. All right, now in paragraph 5, at the age 18, Kahlo was in a bus crash and was seriously injured. She had to spend many months resting and recovering. Kahlo became bored lying in bed staring at the ceiling. Her parents decided to give her a box of paints and an easel that she could use in bed. I'm going to pause it. I just got a text that I wanted to ring again. All right. So her parents decided to give her the box of paints and an easel that she could use in bed. So what she did, she began to paint everything she saw in her bedroom. Painting became her daily habit. Because she had a huge mirror in front of her bed, she started to paint images of herself. Kahlo would continue to create self-portraits, which are the pictures of her, paintings of her, throughout her life. So she would look in her mirror and study what her face looked like, and then was able to paint and learned how to paint that way. After she recovered from that accident, Kahlo began going out and about again. One day, she passed by a building where the famous painter Diego Rivera was painting a huge mural. A mural is usually, I would say it's a painting on a wall, and it's usually very large. She decided to show Rivera some of her paintings and asked him for his opinion. Rivera agreed to take a look. He told her she was talented, and that was the beginning of a long relationship between the two artists. A year after they met, Kahlo and Rivera married. Soon after, they moved to the United States. And this is one of her very famous paintings. It's called Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklaces. So these are the thorns. They would be sharp. And Hummingbird. This was painted about 80 years ago. Paragraph 7. Kahlo and Rivera lived in San Francisco, California. But it was the time spent in another American city, Detroit, Michigan, that began to influence Kahlo's paintings. She passed many hours alone in Detroit while Rivera painted murals for a North American company. She found that she greatly missed her homeland of Mexico. So Kahlo began to paint images that related to how she felt. No matter where she went, she painted what she could identify with the most, herself. Now, I love this painting here. It is called Self-Portrait Along the Borderline Between Mexico and the United States. It was painted in 1932. And just let me point out a few things here. This is kind of American side over here. You can see Ford. That says Ford. It's the name of a car company, which in Detroit, Michigan, there is a huge place that makes those cars. Lots of these buildings, lots of factories. Over here, this would be things that she would have seen in Mexico. It looks like some ruins of some sort. These beautiful flowers. And she's standing on something that says Carmen Rivera, and I can't really make out the rest, but it says año, which is year, and it says 1933, and it's plugged into something. She's holding the Mexican flag, and of course this is the painting of herself. I think it's just really cool. Some of Kahlo's paintings contrast with her memories of Mexico with the crowded city environment she found herself in. One example is her painting Self-Portrait Along the Borderline Between Mexico and the United States, which is the one I just was looking at. Kahlo contrasts these places by showing herself standing between them. The painting represents her life divided between two worlds, yet it is clear which world is more important to her. So I think you can tell she has even more space on this side, using more things that show her culture. She's wearing her traditional, a dress she would have worn there. These are all things you would find in Mexico. Okay, it says, in the painting, Kahlo is wearing a traditional Mexican dress and holding the Mexican flag. The Mexican side of the painting shows a traditional Mexican landscape. It has warm, earthy colors, exotic plants, and pieces of Aztec sculpture and mythology. Okay, so it is Aztec, and Aztec ruins and Aztec things here. Awesome. The United States side shows the landscape dominated, which means that there's a lot of it, by technology. It is painted in dull grays and blues. The U.S. side includes an electrical power generator. In the painting, the generator draws its power from the roots of a plant on the Mexican side. It appears to supply power to the pedestal on which Kahlo is standing. Okay, let's review that. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is the generator, and a generator makes electricity. And if we look through the cord, where is the electricity getting its energy? It's getting them from these plants, which are in Mexico. So it kind of feels like she is getting all of her energy and life from Mexico. All of her memories of Mexico and all that. That's pretty intense. Okay. No matter where Kahlo lived, she made paintings that were like visual autobiographies. Every painting tells the story of something remarkable she lived through and how she felt about it. Her facial expressions, her clothing, and the colors and images around her helped viewers understand what was happening at that moment in her life and the world. And I think this is probably just a picture of Detroit. Kahlo missed her colorful and warm homeland, which would be Mexico. That's why many of her paintings she portrays herself wearing jewelry and surrounded by objects that identify her cultural heritage. Cultural heritage is for her Mexican. For you, it might be something else. You could have European descent. You can have Dominican Republic descent, like heritage, all that. Her use of color, too, often expressed her yearning, which means her wanting for home, as well as other powerful feelings. Yellow, for example, represents the sun and happiness of Mexico. But in some cases, it also represents illness or fear. Cobalt blue, which is kind of like a royal blue, like think of the Colts blue, represents electricity and purity. Her paintings often include green, red, and white too. Those are the colors of the Mexican flag. Here's the Mexican flag right here. Even though she often lived in cities, Kahlo rarely painted urban, which is city, scenes. She always preferred to paint the world she dreamed of returning to, which would be Mexico. She wanted to go back there. Instead of skyscrapers, which are those big buildings, and factory smokestacks, Kahlo painted tropical plants and animals from her homeland. For example, she often included monkeys and parrots in her paintings. These animals represented Mexico's past and present. They also represented Kahlo's dreams of a different life. Let's see if there's any back in that painting. I don't see. Well, these would be the exotic plants. The building, these would be considered skyscrapers right here, the real tall buildings. And smokestacks would be these that the smoke is coming out of. But I don't see any parrots or monkeys in that one. As much as she missed Mexico, however, Kahlo's travels had a major effect on the art she created. Travel helped her better understand her own identity and developed a distinct artistic style. That style made her one of the world's most famous artists, one who has influenced many others. And I'm going to stop there. I love Frida Kahlo. She's probably my favorite artist. I hope you take some time to do some research on her. I included some videos about her and some of her paintings.